Wow, guys, what a crazy stream we just watched. As you guys know, I'm going to be honest, I was planning on putting Lauma for ages. And honestly, I thought she was going to be a Rhymegrass character. Especially how they keep linking her with like Frost Moon kind of stuff and like the Frost aesthetic. But here, we can see it. Look, that is the Nilou team that I play. And yeah, it turns out that Lauma is, I assume, she's going to be basically like the Escoffier for Bloom teams. Deals continuous Dendro damage, reducing their Hydro and Dendro res, also enhancing Bloom based reactions. And when she's in the party, all Bloom reactions triggered will be converted into Lunar Bloom. In fact, she seems incredible because she doesn't seem to be just a Bloom character, but just Dendro like Bloom related reactions in general. You can see there they're sort of teasing the Toma version teams. Here they're teasing Hyper Bloom teams. But you guys know me, and I know you guys, we're all mostly interested in the Nilou teams, to be honest. In fact, I was actually curious, when's the last time I made a Nilou video? I did make a speedrunning video about 6 months ago. As you know, originally in this channel, a lot of people know me for my Nilou theory crafting, my Nilou guides, gameplay. And yeah, I've just made so many Nilou videos ever since she came out. And yeah, I guess there's so much to talk about now. As my first impressions, yeah, this is the kit I wanted. Obviously, we don't know the exact numbers. But look, there's some nice circle-based AoE. She just damaged herself. Unfortunately, I don't know what's going on with this team. Because as you can see, this is a Nilou Bloom team without a healer. You can see here, ain't nobody getting healed. So I don't really know what they're cooking there. Lauma doesn't seem to be a healer or a shielder. As you guys know, with Nilou, that it's so difficult to theory craft her. I'm not saying you need to be a genius or anything, but the way these Bloom teams work, the way they deal with damage, you can't really use traditional methods. So we're going to have to do a lot of playtesting when she comes out, learning exactly how Lauma's kit works. But if I had to give first impressions on my guesses, I actually think there'll be some sort of Nilou Kokomi core going on. For example, maybe the most popular team would be Nahida and Lauma, because if Lauma's bringing that much to her kit, then there's a good chance she will be one of your best options here. I also have to say, there is a world where Nahida isn't actually needed. Lauma being a modern character, Nahida being a 3.0 character. Like, we've already seen what we got with the Escoffier. We already saw what we got with Chevreuse. Seat Lally for Melt teams, even Inefa. There's so much that they bring to the table. It could be the case where a character you thought was strong actually becomes more optional. So it's not just a double Hydro teams. I'm guessing the other core could work well, which is like a triple Hydro team and Lauma. Maybe something like that. Xingqiu is usually very good in Nilou Bloom teams because of how much EM you can pump into him and how much Hydro application he has. He does have a habit of dying though. So in regards to Nahida, I'm very interested in even testing some 4 stars. You know, maybe there's a world where Kole actually works well with Lauma. The last team I do want to mention, and I don't actually have him. As you guys might remember from my Nilou videos, Al Haytham, a lot of his best speedrunning teams actually used to be Nilou Bloom teams. And those teams, you might not know, but they actually rarely ever played Nahida. Maybe teams with Xingqiu, Kirara, Baizhu, Yao Yao. There was also people playing triple Hydro teams with him. One of the reasons why Al Haytham Bloom was so effective is because Al Haytham didn't have those multi-wave issues that Nahida had. But also, if you look at a little bit of vertical investment scaling, is that Nilou C2, it doesn't just increase your Bloom damage, but because it reduces Hydro and Dendro res, is you're actually increasing personal damage of your teams. And as we saw from the Lauma teaser, she also reduces Dendro and Hydro res. But there is a world where Al Haytham Bloom does get a big buff, and that'll be very interesting to test. Anyway, there's so many videos to look forward to for Nilou Bloom. There's so much to talk about. But I figured I wanted to make a very simple video to start off with, because I've been getting a lot of questions about it, and I'm assuming there are going to be quite a few newer players to Nilou Bloom. Maybe you haven't played Nilou since launch, or maybe you're picking her up for the first time with Lauma. Is a lot of people want to know, because Bloom teams take so much recoil damage, they want to know how much healing do you actually need from your healer and how hard is it to die. As you guys know, usually your Hydro characters get the most Bloom reactions in these teams. So if you're playing a Hydro healer like Kokomi, it's a common question. Do they want to know how do you balance building EM versus maybe focusing more on healing, maybe like some healing bonus pieces? So if you didn't know, the way Bloom recoil damage works is you take 5% of the damage you deal to enemies. Do note though, in case it isn't clear here, because I don't think it is, if you're dealing crits, like say for example you have C2 Nahida, and maybe you're dealing double damage in some hits, that doesn't mean you're taking double damage. This basically only considers like your base damage, I guess. So actually a good way they could design Lauma if they really wanted to make her insane is if she lets you crit, and they balance a lot of her power budget around critting, because that would be a way they can increase the damage of these teams without actually increasing the damage you take by that as much. Honestly, now that I think about it, that would be a pretty nice idea. Whether they actually do that, I don't know. So my Nahida's on 15k HP. Let me set up here. So about 30k blooms. How much damage was I taking? You saw there 1,500 to herself. And if we do some basic maths, let's say 1,500 divided by 0.05 is about 30k. And then say for example, if you're doing like 35,000 damage in bloom, times that by 0.5, you take about slightly more, but it's about that. So it doesn't sound like that much, but when some of your characters have around 20k HP, like someone like Nahida, and then you're constantly doing bloom damage, you're constantly taking bloom damage, is that a big deal? So let me set up again. Attack with Kole. She's taking like 1,400, 1,700. You can see the small bloom numbers. 1,600. So how much is Kogami healing for? So you see that? 3,900. My Kogami is healing for 3,900. With minimal healing bonus. Full EM. Now I can open up some old calculations I have here. Depending on the amount of EM your character has, they'll deal different amounts of bloom. And these are with different weapons, like free-to-play weapons like Iron Sting, it's maybe around this. But if you have the key, you can even get closer to 40k. But the interesting thing to note here is that even if you're doing like some insane damage, like 40k, times that by 0.5, it's still about 2k. But the question is, exactly what is Lauma doing? Because if she's buffing our damage by a lot, then that should mean our hits are higher, which means we're taking more damage. This is just with Deepwood. Say for example, we're actually getting an extra 40%, so maybe 0.7. Now maybe that's unrealistic, but you can see our blooms are skyrocketing way past 40k. Maybe if Lauma's shredding much less than that, maybe 20 or 30, let's reduce the damage we're getting from the res shred. Maybe she's actually giving us more reaction bonus. Let's say we're even getting 50k blooms. The recoil damage is ramping up quite a bit, but it's still not a significant amount. The thing I want you guys to realize is because there's so many buffs in these teams, Lauma's probably going to give a insane amount of buffs. Nilou's giving buffs. If you have her key, she's giving even more EM. What that means is, it means the floor for these blooms are going to be very high. Say for example here, I'm doing 35k blooms. Even if I remove 2 of the EM main stats, change that to 1, it's only going down to 32k blooms. Which I guess if you want to calculate is like maybe a 9% damage loss or whatever. But using 3k damage, it does not sound like that much. And that would open you up to maybe picking a HP piece somewhere, maybe picking a healing bonus piece somewhere, and that would dramatically increase your healing. So let me take some damage. So again, my triple EM set up just by pressing her skill. So not even using her burst attacks, healing about 3.9k. Let's give her a HP piece and a healing bonus circlet. Look how big of a deal the healing bonus circlet is. So that's like what, 50% more healing? And again, this is just on the skill. You'll also be pumping up Kokomi's healing from her burst mode significantly. So what does that mean? It means if you're a min-maxer, someone like me, maybe, if you're trying to get the most damage as possible, then yeah, you probably will be running EM pieces. But if you want to play it safer, you don't have to use EM main stats at all. Feel free to use as much healing as you need. Maybe some of you have already seen this, but I did make a video a long while ago about how you could use Ocean Huge Clam healing hybrid build Kokomi, and that was even usable in speedruns. So the point is, if you're able to still get speedruns without using max EM, then you guys who are playing more casually, you definitely don't have to worry about EM, if that's what you want. Having said that, EM will definitely be more damage overall. Now the question is, how easy is it to survive? And I've got some gameplay here I quickly just did. And the thing is, like, Nilou Bloom teams just take a lot of practice. That's just what it comes down to. You have to learn how to rotate through your characters, how long you should be staying on field with them. You can see often quick swapping through my team quite a lot. And some teams are more flexible in regards to quick swapping than others. But you can also utilize characters' burst iframes. Iframes are very good for buying time and just avoiding recoil damage completely. So if anyone says like you need a lot of healing in Bloom teams, they are completely wrong. I've made videos before where I've had like 24, 25k HP Kokomis and I'm still able to get the clears. Now obviously if we're doing significantly increased damage with Lauma, maybe like 24, 25k is a bit low. But if you look at my board here, I'm able to get triple EM over 1k EM with 30k HP. And this is a bit crazy. Like maybe if you lower your standards a bit, I could drop that to that. Even without insane HP substats on some pieces, 29k HP, more than good enough. Kokomi should be able to tank it. Especially, like I said, you just need to practice. You need to know when to use the character's burst modes. The most important thing to take away is that it's not one or the other. You don't have to either go full damage, full EM, or no damage, full healing. You can mix and match, find the gray areas you want. Maybe you can change an EM piece here for a HP piece here. Get 4k more HP on Kokomi, a lot more healing as well. Slightly less damage, it's not the end of the world. And yeah, this is just a preview for Lauma, so we don't really know exactly how much she's increasing the damage by. I hope she increases the damage by a lot. But even if she's increasing the blooms we deal by like 50%, taking 50% more damage when you're only taking 5% of the damage is not that bad. So finally, my recommendations. I've made loads of these videos before, by the way. But my recommendations are probably don't do triple EM if you're new to the teams or if you just want a comfortable experience. Start off with more healing, especially if you're not playing Kokomi. Maybe you're playing Barbara instead, who obviously isn't as good of a healer. Barbara is still a great option in these teams, by the way, but she doesn't heal as much as Kokomi. So figure out who you're playing, do some trial and testing. But just know, if you really want to sweat, it should be very possible to go full damage mode. It just takes a bit of practice. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this first video. I'm really excited that we're finally getting more Nilou content. We haven't had much Nilou content in ages. Let me know what questions you have. And yeah, thanks for watching. We should have much more Nilou videos coming soon.